Hi, welcome to Maxum's Inside Track for 2020. I hope all of our customers and suppliers managed to get a break over that Christmas, New Year period. I personally had a couple of weeks off and feel ready for 2020. I'll start with whole milk powder and I'll also kick off with the Australian fire situation. The data that we're getting back from the manufacturers is that although these fires are significant and has had some impact on milk, it's not super significant. Obviously the drought has an impact, and then those fires have compounded that decline in Australia's milk. However, it's all factories are up and still standing, thankfully, and some milk flows in particular around that southern New South Wales area have been impacted. However, not a dramatic decline in milk due to those fires. A good result for whole milk powder on the GDT, up another couple of percent, which the New Zealand farmers will be pleased with. There is milk flows in New Zealand, reasonable November, equivalent to last year, December looking like the same. However, there is talk of some drying off over there, and if that actually happens and they don't get rain, it could obviously put some pressure on availability of whole milk, and pricing may firm on that basis. But it appears as though we're getting some significant rain now onto the east coast of Australia and the Pacific, so hopefully New Zealand gets a drink as well on that front. China demand in the last GDT, or China participation, was off slightly, just due to the Chinese New Year, which is this Sunday. So happy Chinese New Year to those that are celebrating. And yeah, whole milk powder feels relatively balanced and firmish as we head into 2020. Moving on to skim milk powder now. This has been very buoyant and still very balanced. Those that are hanging out waiting to secure skim into the 2020 year for it to decline may not see that for a little while. We've seen basically zero intervention stock in the EU, 30,000 tonne of an O'Neill tender going at very good dollars. I believe India's back in the market at the moment looking for around about 30,000 tonne of skim and potentially more. And yeah, product out of Australia and New Zealand is flattish and certainly down on last year from a supply point of view. So a lot of this pricing and availability will be hinged on the European, or start to the European season. And yeah, it feels extremely firm, the skim milk powder category. Onto the fats now, butter and AMF. On the GDT platform, we saw a bit of an anomaly in terms of a 5.5% increase in butter in particular. AMF drifted off a little bit, but we probably felt as though fats may have been stable-ish, if not off slightly. So there was good China demand, and in particular for NZ branded product. There is product starting to become available out of Ireland and Europe, and that pricing is there or thereabouts and potentially could drift off a little bit. However, a good result, and yeah, we see butterfat as relatively balanced, and yeah, if you need to secure product through until June, in particular out of Oceania, it'd be worthwhile locking that down. Moving on to cheddar now. Still pretty big disparity between the European, the US and the Oceania pricing. The European is still the cheapest, with the Oceania sitting in the middle and the US at the top, but it's about a 800 Aussie dollar a tonne variance across those price points. I know that demand in America in particular coming into the Super Bowl this weekend has been extremely strong, and they've sold significant volumes of both mozzarella and cheddar in that market. However, yeah, the European pricing is certainly the most competitive around the world, and once again, Australia and New Zealand offerings are not significant, in particular for young cheese. We'll conclude this inside track with whey lactose. Whey powder's firmed up a little bit, just based on obviously higher demand. Product seems to still be available, in particular out of the US and out of Australia and to a lesser extent New Zealand. We've seen lactose drift off a little bit. We've also seen China starting to alter some of the codex codes, in particular around permeate. So I'm not 100% sure what impact this will have. There has been a little bit of a rush on demand out of the US. Whether this firms pricing or not, I'm still not 100% clear on. But yeah, starting to firm on that whey powder side of things. That concludes Maxum's Inside Track. Have a great Australia Day long weekend to those celebrating, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you.